Hi everyone, it's Beaching Nails. Today I'm going to show you a couple of the different paints that I use for a lot of my nail art and the difference between all of them. We're going to start out, I have Apple Barrel, just red acrylic paint. Then I have acrylic paint in a big tube. Then there's acrylic paint in a foil tube. Then there's watercolor paint in a tube. Then there's watercolor on a palette. I have red oil paint, which I had found so far the only ones that will dry in a decent amount of time is the ones that I find at Dollar Tree. And I only have just like 4 different colors of these. And there's another one I've been playing with for a while. This paint is called Gouache paint. And it's also red and it comes in a tube. Now each one has its own effect. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to pull out just a white card so you can see the difference. Here is the red acrylic in a tube in the Apple Barrel. Here is red acrylic in a big tube. As you can see, the consistency, it's much thicker. Here is red acrylic in a foil tube, even thicker than the big tube. Here is the watercolor. Which is even thicker. One of these bottles is in the way. There we go. And then we have the Gouache paint. So I got red on me. In a tube. And it's thick as well. We didn't do the red oil paint. Which is actually thin. Now if I turn this, let's get a brush. And here is the paper towel to wipe my brush off in between. And we'll use a brush like this. Just going to get it wet just a little bit with water, wipe it off. And this one right here, this was the Apple Barrel, the acrylic paint. This is the paint in the big tube, much thicker. You can water this down. If you water it down a little, you can get more control. Then we have, I believe this one was the I don't know if it was the watercolor or if this one's the acrylic. Look how thick that one is. Now a lot of times when I play with my base art, I do add just a little bit of water. Look at that. All of these dry great, with the exception of you may have some problems with oil paint. Other brands of oil paint did not dry. This one's the watercolor. Add some water to it, thin it out. Here's the Gouache paint. See how thick it is? You can paint with it this thick if you wish. You can tell the difference in the colors of the reds here. That's straight. Straight paint. Let's add a little bit of water. Clean my brush off. And let's try this oil paint when we go in there with a dry brush. See the consistency? See how it sticks to the brush? This one too, you can also water down. You can also water down acrylic paint. You can water down any of these, or you can use them straight out of the bottle. Obviously the amount that I used is a lot of paint. You could probably do a good majority of your mani, at least one part of your hand. I normally start out with a little bit at a time, just so this doesn't dry up, because they do dry pretty fast. To reactivate it, all you have to do is just add some water. But you have to watch, because you don't want to make it too runny, because if you make it too runny, it's just going to slide. And those are the differences between the paints, of some of the paints. I still have like the paint from China, which from what I understand is paint that you apply to rice paper. Let's do this palette. I almost forgot about this. This is another watercolor. Now this one, on the palette, you do have to activate it with water. So I am going to get my brush wet. Let's find the red here. And we're going to do this right here. This is the watercolor from the palette. Now let me add some more water. Kind of like, I guess to say, water it down so it's not so thick. Look at that. Look at the color difference. Each one has its own color difference, and when they dry, each one will dry differently and give you a different effect. And I've been mixing all of these in between together to create different looks. Some do things that the others don't. Some dry differently. Some dry with a texture. But those are the differences. I found red being the easiest because I have red in almost every style that I have here. Thank you for watching, and hang 10. Bye-bye.